to the next video. So today we'll be talking about how to show the date view or a calendar inside your React Native app with new architecture using Fabric. So first of all, I have created a dummy React Native project, empty React Native project. And first we want to enable the new architecture. So you can go to the documentation, and first of all for Android you can search for new arc enabled. So I will just search for new arc enabled, and you have to make this property as true in your gradle.properties. And for iOS you have to run this command from your iOS directory. You could face two issues for this, so I will tell you what exact issue you would face after running this command. So first one is this, and second one is this. So after running this command from your iOS directory, if you get something like this, what you have to do is that you have to cd back to your project directory and run this command. Once you run this command, again go back to your iOS directory and try running this command. If it again fails, then you might be getting an issues like this. I already have a video on my channel explaining in depth about how to resolve this issue, but one way you can try is by running this command inside your iOS directory or inside your root project directory, and it should resolve your issue. Once, or you might want to take a look at other answers as well if these resolve those issue. Once you are done, you go back to the iOS directory and try running this command again, and it should work. But then you can try running yarn iOS or yarn Android, and inside the metro bundler you should see fabric:true, which means that the new architecture has been enabled for your React Native app. Next, okay, we will go to the documentation, Fabric Native modules. Here you have to create 3 folders. So here they have mentioned that create this folder outside the project directory, but according to me it is wrong. You will face lot of issues if you create it outside the project directory. So I recommend you creating inside the project directory like I have created. So I have created a folder called rn my date view. It is inside the project directory, and inside that I have created 3 folders: Android, iOS and JS. Forget about the generated folder for now. Next, inside the JS folder, they tell us that we have to create an TypeScript file, and mostly have copy pasted this code. The only thing changes the file name. Again, it should be the file name should depend on your folder name whatever you have given. And here on for a date picker or for a calendar, we want to know when a particular date has been picked. So I have written this on date picked event handler, and this is how you write an event handler inside the interface, so that you can use it whenever you select a particular date from your calendar. It will give you a callback on this on date pick on whatever date has been picked by you. And also this name has to be changed, rtn my date view. Next thing which I would recommend is adding Kotlin to your Android project. So go to Android folder, build.gradle, and add this line Kotlin version and add this line of class path. Next you have to go to your app, build.gradle, and you have to add this line apply plugin Kotlin Android, and you have to add this line Kotlin standard lib. Once you are done with this, what you have to do is that you have to create a package.json file, which is a sibling to your JS folder. So create a package.json file, and once you are done with the package.json file, like I have copy pasted most of it, the only thing you have to change is you have to change this name. You have to change rtn my date view dot pod spec, and here you have to change rtn my date view specs. If you want you can change it over here as well, but these are like GitHub links, so you shouldn't worry too much about it. Next you have to create a pod spec file. So here again, not inside the iOS folder, but it should be a sibling to your iOS folder. The name is important, so in my case it would be rtn-my-date-view.podspec, and again I have copy pasted it from the documentation. Only thing which has been changed is rtn-my-date-view. Once this is done, you have to go to your Android folder and create build.gradle, and you have to create this project structure. So I will go to my Android folder, I will create a build.gradle file. Again copy pasted everything from the documentation. Things which have been changed is we want Kotlin instead of Java, so I have added this Kotlin thing, apply plugin, and Kotlin standard lib over here as well. And the in namespace also you have to change it to rtn my date view. Once that is done, we will create the respective folders which are required. So in src I will create main java com rtn my date view, and here for now I will just create this my date view package. You can copy everything from this, but the only thing you for now which you have to change is, instead of this line you just pass return empty list. Okay. uh, so this will help you in code generation, otherwise it will throw you an error if you write something like this. So just write return empty list on line level. So once this is done, so this is what it says. We now going to the code generation. So just open your terminal inside the root of your React Native project, and in our case it would be this command. uh, it would be this command, yarn add dot slash. In documentation it is double dot slash because they have created the project folder outside the root React Native project, but ours is inside, that's why it would be only a single dot rtn my date view. Once that is done, you have to do cd dot dot. So if your folder is on desktop, you would go to the desktop directory. So suppose I will show you. So this is my project, so I will do cd dot dot, and then you have to run this command. Again be careful with this command. Here it should be your app name, and here also your app name would come, and this would be your folder name. In the documentation they have not specified here app name because they are projected out is outside the root directory, but in our case it is inside, that's why we require the app name again over here as well. Next, we have to create these three files. So go to your iOS directory and run rtn my dateview.h. So again copy pasted from the documentation, only thing that has been changed is the naming. So rtn my dateview. Next we have to create rtn my dateview manager. Again copy pasted from the documentation, file name has been changed over here, and this export view property has been changed because we want an callback from the native side to the React Native side. So on date picked is our callback. Next, in rtn my date view is the main file where we would be writing the calendar view or the date view code. So most of it is copied from documentation. So everything till here has been copied from documentation, only thing has been changed is the file name. So be careful with this file name which I'm pointing to, over here as well, over here as well, and over here as well. Then we are taking a UI date picker, and we are taking a string, so that whatever date has been picked would be assigned to this string and would be return it back to the React Native side. Then we have giving a component description provider, again copied from the documentation, only this thing will be changed. Then this is kind of like init frame. Once we create this component, what exactly needs to happen is that, okay, again copied this from the documentation, this should be changed. We are creating a UI view instance, we are creating a picker instance. Then this is like for applying auto layout constraints which you see over here. So I'm anchoring to the top, right, left, and top, bottom, left and right to the UI view. And then we are setting the date picker mode, how exactly it needs to be. We are setting a background color as well, and then whenever the date value change, we call this on date picker value changed, which I have written over here. Then if it is running on iOS 13.4 and above, we want to apply this kind of styles, and fallback we don't want to do anything. And then we add the date picker to our UI view. Next, this is copied from the documentation as well. So here in this method, basically we are taking whatever date has been selected by the user. So we are doing some kind of a date time formatting, then assigning it to our variable. And once that has been assigned, we are this is the code which is used to send it back to the React Native side. So you can find the source code in the description, so don't worry about it. The only thing that would be changed is make sure whatever your folder name is, so this would be changed accordingly. Next, the update props again is copied from documentation, and this is also from the documentation. Only thing is, make sure the file name are proper. So I think that is for iOS. The next is for Android. We have to generate code gen. So we have already ran this command, but if you want you can run it again. So I will show you what exactly the command is. So you have to run this command back again, then you have to cd to your Android folder and run this command. Once that is done, you would see this code gen inside your node module. So you would inside your node modules you would see something like rtn my date view, and here you would see all the code generated. Next, we have to create a few files. So go to your Android folder. First one is my date view package. We already have this file, but now change the code to whatever you can see over here on line level. Next, go to my date view manager. So again, this has been copied from the documentation, and just the only thing is it is converted to Kotlin instead of Java, and you have to write your appropriate file name wherever required. So yeah, this is basically kind of like a boilerplate code. And the over here we are mapping the callback of on date picked. Next, make sure this is also proper, otherwise you might face issue. Next, we have defined an event class. So my date event, this is kind of again boilerplate code. Whenever you have a callback from native to React Native, you have to define this kind of an event class. So I'm returning top on date picked, and again I have copied this from the documentation as well. So here in my dateview.kt is the actual code. So first we require a context and a current activity. The reason we require activity as well is because on date picker dialog, if you try to pass context, so this context if you try to pass inside the date picker dialog, you will see an error something like this: unable to add window, token null. So to avoid that, we need the current activity, so which we are passing it from the my date view manager. And here basically we are doing some date time calculation, and here in the init class we are just creating our date picker dialog, setting the layout params as such, and then finally we are displaying the date picker dialog. So once that is done, again you have to run this command. So go to your app.tsx and run this command. Okay, inside the root of your project. And for iOS, cd to iOS, you have to run this command as well. So it will create a pod for you of my date view. Now to use it, you have to go to app.tsx and you can import it something like this. And to use it, you would use something like this. So inside the on date picked callback, you would get the whatever date has been picked by the user. So this is how it will look on Android, and this is how it will look on iOS. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Bye.